Okay, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another breakdown and market review going into Asia session, which is my favorite session. I say that with all bias intended, and I'm going to say this with all bias intended. We're marking down one of my favorite pairs, gold. So, as we look on the daily time frame, we have a lot of, as you can see, bearish momentum, and I'd love to see a nice continuation down. And usually, if we look in the past when it gives us that, it does give us these impulses down very strong where we fill over 3/4 of it before we start forming some type of consolidation. We are in an area where price could either turn around and push higher, but I'm not seeing that, and I'm about to break down to you why. So, first things first, let's go ahead and piece together the story on the left hand side of the frame. Okay, so the market on the left hand side, as we approach this higher time frame structure, got there. And higher time frame structure being this bigger trend line to the bull flag on the daily time frame. So we saw a bull flag on the daily time frame where price was going up for the third touch, impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse. Guess what? Correction. So we're on that correction here, and price got here very correctively. You can see over, I would say, 90% of this was correctively, and you only got one impulse, which was this little leg here. So pretty much if you just took out that little piece of price, check this out, a little bit of gain for you. If we took that out and then we just grabbed this little bit here, look how that really formed. Okay. Oops. Look how this formed here. If we just take out that one little bit of impulse. If you saw price getting here this correctively on the higher time frame just without this impulse, is very clear to read. And then if you just go ahead and we take and add on this, now look at the price that you're dealing with. Totally different ball game, right? So it's important to read between the lines. That's one of those things that comes with market experience. And so we got there very correctively on the higher time frame of things. We formed this bit of support and resistance in this area. And we're going to use this, so I'm going to leave it on here. Okay, so we're on the 1 hour right now, but I wanted to show you this. So price got to a higher point of structure, aka that trend line, very correctively, meaning that it was very slowed down in price. You can see the tiny momentum, all the candles are really small, and then you get this one impulse up, which throws everyone off, thinking the market's going to continues to form correction before giving an impulse or break below the structure. We get a pullback, and then price goes ahead and drops down. The reason I'm mentioning that is because look how we have gotten to this area of price right here, this 1 hour liquidity zone. Okay. Look how we got here very impulsively. That's something that we're going to keep in mind when we're drawing on patterns. Okay. So here we're starting to get this descending flag. Now, a descending flag typically is a reversal flag as you're coming into a structure. But you have to look at the whole story that's being told here. The whole story is it got here impulsively first as it's forming a descending structure, as this piece got here correctively to a trend line before it started forming the impulse back away. Okay, so as we form this descending structure, we aren't going to be so much looking for price to, it could, is the market can do anything it wants. We aren't looking so much for this move. Now, I'm not saying I'm not opposed to taking it, but for me to take that move right there, an impulse back above so we could look for a bit of a retracement, we would have to have a clear break above, then some sort of pullback into this area for us to move higher, giving us some sort of flag or wedge after we've already broken this high right here and then form the pullback for us to go higher. And even if it went higher, I'm not, for us to get a continued momentum or a continued range of price, to continue the bullish run that it's been on, we would need to see it break this right here, which is the last lower high in the market. This lower high being this little area, and the market would seriously have to come all the way back above, break this, then we get some sort of deeper pullback. I'm just giving you a general flag here. This isn't very specific. Before we got the move to go to the top side further. Now look at all this area that it has to form. Now, I want you to look at this thing as a train going down the tracks. How much momentum is it going to take for it to hit a complete U-turn, reverse back, and then continue to go higher? That is a lot of momentum in the market that has to shift and change compared to the momentum that we've already built up on this side. Okay. So when we're in trend, we want to follow the trend, and we just got a break of the trend or break of this low, which is our first sign of reversal. 1 hour liquidity zone / reversal. So now we can look for the market to drop down to this 4 hour liquidity zone, which would be our next target, because now we're playing momentum, we're playing the trend. I don't want to have to be right. I want to make sure that I'm just observing the market the best way possible. If you're a person that has a trouble seeing the short position, you can always invert your chart. That's something I like to do. So we could see something like this. Our price maybe comes back into this area, fakes you out, get a little bit of a flag, and then we get a continuation. And you could wait for it to pull back and get that first impulse back above this smaller, lower time frame high, where we would form some bit of structure, I'm guessing, in this area, play it off this structure to continue to the low. And let me show you again. I'm going to invert my chart and what that would look like here. We almost get a bit of a bigger flag before we continue the move here to the downside. Or it could just go ahead and freaking drop out of the sky, wait for that first little impulse below this, take that flag, and then just take it lower. So gold is set up really, really pretty. I'm erring on the side of momentum here. I'm going to, the idea for this particular trade is already drawn out in my trading view. Go look at the posted or the published idea that I dropped. And it has a really good explanation and reason behind it, and kind of forecast, what we're looking for in the market. Right now, I'm definitely a fan of the market coming back to do this little number, or this little ditty, as they'd say. Oh, maybe I can't say that anymore. This little number right here, and then look for some potential, either a clear, again, break above before we get some type of pullback and then go higher, or I'm looking for price to pull back into here, get a little impulse back down, look for the first little flag, and then we could get a continuation where it's more of this drawn out flag here. It's almost like an expanding flag, where price is kind of building up before it heads down. And I say building up, but like it's squeezing out to where it's losing momentum. And just like we had the 1, 2, 3 on our flag, we have an impulse, correction, impulse, and correction. So that's kind of how we're playing gold. I'm going to patiently wait for the market to show me where it wants to go, so therefore I can participate, have a reasonable stop loss, and hey, you know what? If the bus goes without me, I'm going to let the bus go without me and just wait for the next bus. And I'm not going to put money into the market if I'm not seeing a position that's there for me. And that way we keep our strike rate high and we let our edge play out time and time and time again. We got a request for the dirty 30. So let's pop into the dirty 30, US 30. All right. And on US 30, I've had this flag that's kind of been playing out here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. In this area, we had the right here. It's kind of like an extension of an extension. We never got a break below this, so let's do the proper thing here, okay? Before we start drawing patterns on this, I know US 30 is in a really high time frame, or I said a new set of highs. That's the word I'm looking for, y'all. We're gonna delete all that off. Return liquidity zone. And you know what? Let's take this off too because we don't really need it anymore. What we need is this. Higher high, higher low, and then the market just formed another higher high. It's still got a lot of momentum. I can kind of see a bit of a flag right here, which is an extension above the last high. So we might be looking for some sort of reversal in the near future, but we don't have to. Sometimes these extensions just could form a little bit of retracement before even going higher. So if the trend's bullish, go with the trend. I'm a firm believer the trend is your friend. I'm just going to stick by that. I've seen it play out so many times where you're trying to pick the reversal off the tops of these, and it's like if I flip the chart, it's like this. If this is a knife and the knife is falling, you're trying to catch a falling knife. Instead, you should let it hit the ground and bounce back up and then grab the knife instead of trying to catch it on the way down. It's a weird analogy, but it makes sense. So stop trying to catch the falling knife here, okay? And wait for the market to tell you what it wants to do. So we're on the weekly, and I'm seeing a couple liquidity zones that I'm really fond of. So there's that one, and I'm gonna leave this one right here as well. Those are the reversal points. I have my chart inverted, y'all, so just a heads up. Sometimes if I'm having a quote unquote hard time seeing an angle of something, I'm just gonna flip my chart, flip it upside down and see if I'm missing something that I wasn't quite interpreting beforehand. The market is all about perspective, so we want to make sure that we have the right perspective going into the market. I'll tell you what though, I make sure that you flip your chart back because you're gonna be in a world of hurt if not. So first things first, now that we kind of zoomed in, I'm going to leave these liquidity zones here. But after I mark on my favorite thing, which is higher highs and higher lows. So again, got a higher low here, higher high, higher low, another higher high, another higher low, and now we just got another higher high. So usually indicating that the next move that we're going to get is a higher low. Now this is the daily. We have some sort of impulsive move going on. I'm not going to know till I drop down on the lower time frame. By the way, y'all, go ahead hit the boost button because I'm not going to lie, this is one of the better markups that we've done. And we've done a lot of good markups, but this one right here is top notch. And I really mean that because there's a lot of free sauce in here that you're not going to find other traders or mentors or coaches just dropping casually or freely. And our goal here is to add more value than what we're getting back, because the more value that you add, the more that returns to you. So let's make sure that we're adding value. So this right here, this is a trend, and this was a trend. Okay, we still haven't broke back below this set of highs, this bit of structure. So that means that the market is still on top of it. So let's just take that. I'm going to leave this little bit of a trend line on top here. And we're kind of sitting on top of it, as you can see, right? Let's drag this out. And never let your trend line extend more than where price currently is. Because again, if your trend line is way over here, if the market does get over here and it's already done this little ditty where, oh yeah, I can't say that. It's done this number where it's already broken through and now it's just kind of floating back and forth, and you haven't moved your trend line or even separated the trend lines to basically show what patterns are being formed, then you're just operating off of an old system. So we want to make sure that the trend line is always kept up to date with where price is, that we know that this is our new higher high, and we're looking for some higher lows to form. So as we look for higher lows, let's drop down to the 1 hour and see if we can find some sort of structure and make sense of it. Just off the beginning of the 1 hour, I see a beautiful flag forming. Let me show you that real quick. Trying to be mindful of the clock. I got one more pair to look at. So yeah, a beautiful flag. Another beautiful flag here. This was the break below on the smaller time frame, right? On our lower time frame, which is the hour. We got a clear break below here. I would kind of look for mass psychology to come up, tag that before dropping. Doesn't have to because this flag's so pretty. And you could maybe look for it to come down here because I see a LQZ there. Then I also see an LQZ here. And then I see one that's tagged. Yeah, I would maybe just look for those. Let's look with a fib too. 618 and 786. And then those are highs up here where we look for the next bullish run to go if it does go bullish. You don't see me use a fib a lot, but I like to use it for perspective. So maybe possibly some shorts. Like I said, I'm not super in tune with US 30. I don't trade all the time, but structure. So this would be a 1 hour OTZ. Actually, 15-minute because the market, the way it works. And this would be a 1 hour OTZ. And then once we get down into these areas, like I said, we could either get a rejection here with some type of pullback pending. We could start to get a little fake out below here. Then we could get some type of movement up before dropping back down, hitting this little area before the market sinks. But this is a pretty flag on the 1 hour. And then on the 15, yeah. I would look for a break below this. Right here. Get a break below there, clear break below, wait for that next little pullback into this area, and then for a drop here, pull back in, then some type of low. So it looks like we're not going to get to NAS, but we got the US 30. Maybe I'll publish an idea for NAS. But hopefully you enjoyed today's markups. This was a really good session. There's a lot of free nuggets in here on how we do our top-down analysis. Be sure to go check out those published ideas and make sure you make it back for these sessions, for Asia session, where we do our reviews and we look at the outlook for the day. And then, hey, as always, patience pays. If you don't see the trade there, don't force it. Wait for the market to show you what it wants to do and follow the trend. As always, it's been good. Peace.